The air in Haskell County Hospital felt electrically charged, like a storm ready to break. Wednesday, March 15th, 1992, 3:00 p.m. The solemn stillness of the emergency room shattered as a frantic scream echoed through the corridors. "Clear!" a voice rang out, urgent and commanding. Nurse Emily Rodriguez could feel her heart racing as she rushed to the entrance, drawn into the chaos. "Elena, please, just hold on," Maria Morales cried as she stumbled through the doors, her daughter clutched tightly in her arms. The young girl, no more than 12, lay limp and pale, her small frame marred by horrific injuries. Blood stained Maria's clothes, a vivid contrast to the desperate hope etched onto her tear-soaked face. "Get her to Trauma 3 now." Doctor Thomas Hale instructed as he darted past Emily, his mind already racing with potential diagnoses. Emily's hands trembled, but she steeled herself. She remembered the heart-shaped locket that had slipped from Elena's fingers just moments before, glinting cruelly in the harsh light of the ER. "Stay with me, Elena, you're going to be okay," Emily urged, trying to mask the dread pooling in her stomach. She would do everything in her power to save this girl. The echo of machines filled the air. The persistent beeping became a grim soundtrack to their reality. As she worked to stabilize Elena, every second turned into a painful eternity. Emily felt the heat of Maria's gaze burning into her back, a mother's silent plea for reassurance. "You have to save her. She's all I have." Maria's cries pierced through the din, a chilling reminder of what was at stake. "All right, let's intubate her," Dr. Hale called, his voice authoritative, yet laced with an undercurrent of anxiety. Emily stepped back, allowing the other medical staff to do their jobs. The scene blurred around her as she struggled to focus, flashes of vivid memories consuming her thoughts. The laughter shared with friends, the carefree days skating at the park, and the expression on Elena's face just before the accident replayed in her mind. Emily pressed her lips together, forcing herself to breathe, fighting to push the overwhelming guilt away. But guilt wrapped itself around her heart, squeezing tightly as Elena's heart monitor began to slow. "No, please," she whispered, desperate for a miracle, for time to reverse itself. The room filled with a sense of impending doom. That stupid locket. Why hadn't she done more at the scene? She could have pushed for Elena to wear it. It should have been around her neck, her talisman of protection. As Elena's heart flatlined, the monitor let out a harrowing beep, a stark reminder of their failure. Caught in that horrific moment, Emily's hand instinctively reached for the locket that had slipped away, its gleaming surface capturing her attention like a lighthouse in a storm. But before she could grasp it, it rolled to the edge of the gurney, slipping away into the shadows beneath. Maria fell to her knees, the sorrow escaping her lips in a guttural wail that seemed to echo in Emily's heart. All Emily could do was watch, frozen by her own helplessness, as the world crumbled around them. Life had slipped through her fingers, and with it, a part of Emily's soul felt extinguished. The room fell silent, but the weight of the silence was deafening. The trauma of that day would haunt Emily, etched into her memory like the locket she finally retrieved, holding it in her palm as if it were a fragile promise of redemption. Each beat of her heart reminded her of the girl she couldn't save. On April 29, 2021, nearly 3 decades later, the weight of that memory still pressed heavily against Emily Rodriguez. It was an ordinary Friday morning in Haskell County Hospital, where the smell of brewing coffee wafted through the bustling corridors, mingling with the faint scent of disinfectant. It was starting to feel like spring outside, the sun shining its bright, warm rays as a soft breeze rustled the new leaves. Yet, inside her heart, an eternal winter lingered, one that she could never shake off. That morning, while emptying her bag as she prepped for a community health event, her fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. The locket. It felt foreign, yet achingly familiar. As she pulled it out, her breath caught in her throat. Memories flooded back. Elena's small body, the fading rhythm of the heart monitor, and the anguished cries of her mother. The locket gleamed softly in the overhead light, a bittersweet reminder of the day that had forever altered the trajectory of Emily's life. She turned the locket over, her fingers tracing the delicate engravings, trembling as emotions danced painfully close to the surface. The last time she had seen it, it felt like a grave marker, something heavy that tied her to that guilt, a reminder of what could have been. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to suppress the torrent of feelings that threatened to spill over, but the past wouldn't let her go that easily. "Emily, you in here?" Dr. Thomas Hale's voice cut through her thoughts, drawing her back to the present. He stepped into the staff lounge, his brow furrowed, hands resting casually in his lab coat pockets. His grey hair was slightly disheveled, and there was a hint of weariness in his eyes, one that came from years of battling the relentless nature of life and death in the ER. "Hey, just getting ready for the event," she said, forcing a smile as she tucked the locket back into her bag, concealing the past once more. He nodded, yet the concern emanating from him was palpable. "You've been quiet lately, more than usual. Everything all right?" Emily hesitated, the weight of his question heavy in the air. She took a deep breath. "I came across something," she admitted, avoiding his gaze. "The locket I found that day." The silence stretched between them, and she could feel Dr. Hale's penetrating stare, probing for truths unsaid. He knew her past almost as well as she did, having witnessed the changes in her since that tragic day. "We tried our best that day, Emily," he said finally, his tone steady but edged with a sadness that spoke of his own burdens. "But life, it doesn't always bend to our will." "I can't help but think that if I'd just done something different," she murmured, her heart racing. "What if I hadn't let go of it? What if? You can't keep carrying this, you have to let it go." His voice softened almost fatherly, as if he were trying to dislodge the heavy stone that formed in her chest. "It's been almost 30 years. You didn't kill her. You were there to help, and you did what you could." A bitter taste arose in Emily's mouth. "But I didn't save her." The weight of guilt threatened to tumble from her lips, but instead she swallowed it down. Maybe there was more to Elena's story, something she had never learned, something buried beneath the surface of that painful memory. She glanced down at the locket again, her mind racing with questions. What if uncovering the truth would lead her to peace, to finally release the haunting regret that clung to her? This thought ignited a flicker of determination in her, the flame of a desire to confront her past rather than hide from it. What if there was more to her story? She wondered aloud, her breath trembling as the weight of that realization began to materialize. Dr. Hale raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "I don't know yet. I just have this feeling that I need to find out more about Elena, to understand her life beyond that moment." He nodded, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "Then maybe it's time you do." As the morning light spilled through the staff lounge window, scattering soft rays across the floor, Emily felt a surge of hope. This could be the first step toward letting go of the hurt tied to her past, but it would also mean delving into the memories she had buried deep within herself for all those years. With a deep resolve, she placed the locket back into her bag. It was no longer just a haunting reminder, it was a catalyst for change. She needed to confront Maria Morales, to understand the aftermath of that terrible day, to seek closure for herself, and perhaps even for Elena's mother. "Hang in there," she muttered to herself as she gathered her things, determination building within her. It was time to step into the light. On May 25, 2021, the sun blazed brightly over Levelland, Texas, casting warmth on the quiet suburban streets. But for Emily Rodriguez, today felt laden with the weight of purpose as she drove her old pickup truck toward the familiar house of Maria Morales. The locket hung heavily in her heart, a physical reminder of the girl she couldn't save, guiding her courage as she navigated the roads she once traveled so easily. Arriving at the modest one-story home, Emily felt a familiar tightness in her chest. The yard was perfect, a beautifully maintained patch of grass with blooming wildflowers embodying the serene charm of small-town life. She parked and knocked softly on the door, her knuckles brushing the wood and sending a jolt of anxiety through her. After a moment, the door swung open. "Emily!" Maria Morales' voice held a mix of surprise and warmth. Her hair had grayed slightly, and age was etched around her eyes, but the spark of strength and familiarity remained. "What a surprise! Come in!" As Emily entered, She was immediately enveloped by the sweet aroma of freshly baked cookies, transporting her back to a time before tragedy struck. The living room was adorned with family photos, their vibrant memories contrasting with the somber shadows of their past. But as Emily stepped in, she felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. "Thanks for inviting me. It's been so long," Emily said, her voice trembling slightly, overwhelmed by the moment. Maria looked closely at the locket Emily clutched tightly. "Is that the one?" "I found it," Emily replied, holding it out. "I had it with me on that day, Elena's day. I want to know more about her." Maria's eyes shimmered with an unreadable emotion. "She was everything to me. A bright light who loved to skate and draw. She always talked about becoming a professional skater." Emily felt a surge of empathy. "I want to help you find closure, whatever that looks like. Maybe there's more to her story than we know." "Do you think that locket could unlock memories?" Maria asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and hope. "I'm not sure, but it might lead us to something we missed," Emily said, her heart racing at the possibilities. Their silence held the gravity of shared grief. Neither woman knew how to address the past without the burden pressing down on them. Finally, Maria broke the stillness. "I've kept her drawings. Her room was filled with sketches of the moves she was learning and the competitions she dreamed of entering. I still have them." With each word, Emily began to envision Eleanor, a girl full of dreams and laughter, not just a name etched in tragedy. Together, they explored memories that brought smiles despite the heartache, a testament to a precious life, well-lived, yet tragically cut short. "I often think about how she would have been today if things had gone differently," Maria mused, her gaze lost in reflection. She loved the feeling of the wind against her face while she skated. It was her freedom. Emily listened intently, feeling the warmth of those recollections ignite hope within her as they deepened their bond. "I wish I could have known her better. This might help us remember her as more than just the moment of her passing." "That's exactly how I feel," Maria said softly, wiping away a stray tear. "It's hard to let go when you hold on to the pain so tightly." "I want us to do this together," Emily said, her eyes locking onto Maria's. "Maybe uncovering her story will give us both that release we're searching for." With a nod of agreement, the tentative steps toward healing began to take form. Maria's eyes glimmered with purpose. "I have notebooks of her drawings and notes she wrote about the things she wanted to do. They might help paint the picture of her life." As they sifted through old photographs and Eleanor's treasures, the sunlight cast a golden hue across the room, and their shared stories began to intertwine, weaving a new narrative, one defined by love, joy, and the pursuit of dreams rather than grief. "That smile," Emily said, pointing to a picture of Elena performing a pirouette on the ice, her face aglow with triumph. "She looks so happy." Maria nodded, her heart swelling with pride and sorrow. She was in her element. I can still hear her laughter echoing in my mind. The hours fluttered by, each memory bringing a flicker of light into the shadows of their past, sewing together the fragments of Elena's life. Emily felt a sense of liberation beginning to unfurl within her, and the remnants of her guilt slowly transformed into a shared determination to honor the girl they both loved. "I feel lighter," Emily admitted as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the window. "For the first time in years, I think I'm starting to understand that it's okay to let go of some of this pain." "I think so too," Maria said, her voice strong with newfound resolve. In that dimly lit room, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and dreams yet to be fulfilled, two women forged a connection that transcended loss. Together, they stepped into the light, ready to uncover the truth of Elena's story and reclaim her memory in a way that would breathe life back into their shared past. As the sun dipped lower in the Texas sky, painting the room in golden hues of dusk, Maria succumbed to a moment of reflection. The weight of memories and emotions swirled within her, creating a delicate tapestry of laughter and sorrow. She glanced at Emily, who was gazing thoughtfully at an old scrapbook filled with sketches, newspaper clippings, and pressed flowers, each representing a fragment of Elena's vibrant spirit. "Do you remember the last time you saw her?" Maria asked, breaking the gentle silence that enveloped them. It was a question laced with vulnerability, exposing the rawness of their shared grief. Emily chewed on her lower lip, her mind racing back to that fateful day, memories mingled with regret. I do. It was a Saturday afternoon. Elena was so excited about her skating competition. She kept practicing her routine, and I thought no one could stop her. Maria's eyes misted over. You were her biggest cheerleader. She loved having you there, you know. You made her feel like she could achieve anything. I always wanted to believe in her dreams, even if I didn't have the courage to chase my own, Emily replied, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. But I failed her that day. Emily, Maria interjected softly, placing a comforting hand on Emily's arm. You didn't fail. You were there for her. That's what mattered. Emily looked down at the scrapbook, tracing her fingers over the worn pages, as though the texture of the paper could transport her to a simpler time. I just wish I could have done more. Sometimes I feel like I should have seen it coming. None of us did, Maria said, her voice steadier now. That day changed everything, but we can't let that define her story. She had so much more to offer. She was so much more than that moment. The words hung in the air, echoing with a truth they both needed to hear. There was life, vibrancy, and laughter in the memories they were piecing together, moments worthy of celebration, not just sorrow. Let's do something for her, Emily suggested suddenly, her voice charged with newfound urgency. Let's hold an event in her memory, an ice skating fundraiser. Maria's eyes widened with surprise before lighting up with excitement. That could be perfect. We could invite the community, share her story, and raise money for scholarships for kids who share her passion. Something to honor her dreams. What do you think? Emily nodded enthusiastically, feeling a pulse of energy flow through her veins. Exactly. Not just to remember her, but to inspire others, to keep her spirit alive. And so began their newfound mission, more than just a goal. It was a journey of honoring Elena and confronting the past they had each carried with them for far too long. They dove into planning, accumulating contacts, tapping into the local skating community, and recruiting volunteers. Each phone call filled them with purpose, bridging the divides they once felt. Weeks passed, and their small-town community began to rally behind them. News of the fundraiser spread like wildfire, businesses offered support, and kids signed up to participate. The camaraderie was tangible, a testament to Elena's impact, reaching far beyond her years. With each meeting, the sun would set, bringing a surge of warmth and camaraderie into Maria's living room as they pored over plans together. The burnished walls held confessions, laughter, and the promise of healing, and both women felt more alive than they had in years. Yet, as the event approached, shadows of doubt crept in. Amidst the whirlwind of excitement, Emily couldn't shake a wave of anxiety. Would it truly resonate? Would they succeed in capturing every bit of Elena's spirit? And then one night, as they brainstormed ideas, Maria noticed the hesitation written across Emily's face. "You're worried, aren't you?" Emily turned to her, the vulnerability evident. "What if it doesn't go as planned? What if no one shows up? I've always been afraid of failing others again." As the words spilled forth, Maria took a long breath, gathering her thoughts. "Emily, remember what we're doing this for. It's not merely about the numbers, it's about love. We're creating a space for people to come together, to celebrate a life filled with potential. If we touch even one heart, that makes it worthwhile." As the sincerity enveloped them, Emily nodded, her resolve deepening as the night crept on. "You're right. It's bigger than the outcome. It's about honoring Elena and inspiring every kid out there who dreams of gliding across the ice." The date of the fundraiser finally arrived, and the local ice rink buzzed with energy. The smell of popcorn wafted through the air as people filtered in, filling the stands. Emily stood at the entrance, her heart racing as she took in the sight of the community gathered in support of Elena's memory. Bright banners decorated the walls, complete with photographs of Elena in her skating attire, smiling, laughing, twirling with joy. It felt surreal, yet electric. As the music began to play, Emily felt a surge of warmth wash over her. This was it. This was bringing light not just to Elena's life, but to her memory too. A young girl stepped onto the ice, her joyful voice heralding the start of the event, and Emily caught a glimpse of everything they had accomplished together. In that moment, amidst the community bound by the spirit of togetherness, Emily realized their connection to one another had deepened beyond measure. They had transformed their shared grief into a legacy, one worthy of the girl who inspired it all. With tears of joy streaming down her face, Emily glanced at Maria, who stood by her side, pride shining in her eyes. Here, in this moment of unity, they were not just honoring a life lost, but celebrating the enduring spirit of love and dreams shared, reminding them both that though loss is painful, the power of memory can ignite hope and connection in unexpected ways. The murmurs of chatter filled the rink as families gathered, children darting around with wide-eyed excitement, while the atmosphere buzzed with camaraderie. Emily looked around, absorbing the energy, her heart swelling with a mixture of pride and gratitude. This wasn't merely an event. It was a vibrant celebration of Elena's life, a space where joy intertwined with remembrance. As the festivities commenced, Emily and Maria stepped to the front, ready to address the crowd. The sound of the microphone crackling sent a soft thrill down Emily's spine. She searched for Maria's eyes, finding reassurance in her partner's unwavering support. "Hello, everyone," Maria called out, her voice clear and warm, piercing through the noise. The crowd began to quiet, and Emily felt the energy shift. All eyes turned toward them. "Thank you for joining us today to celebrate Elena's life. We are so grateful to see each of you here." Emily watched Maria's face light up with passion as she spoke, and it stirred a fire in her own heart. She took a deep breath, stepping forward to share her own thoughts. Elena wasn't just a talented skater, she was a bright light in our lives. Her passion for skating inspired many of us, and today we honor her memory by keeping that light alive. The audience nodded, a collective sense of understanding washing over the room, resonating deeply amongst them. "We want to ensure that her dreams are never forgotten and that other aspiring young skaters have the opportunities they deserve," Emily continued, embodying the weight of their collective purpose. As the crowd erupted in applause and cheers, nondescript emotions reignited in Emily. These strangers, bound by the shared love for a girl they all cherished in different ways, stood strong together, a tapestry of memories woven in love and resilience. The activities began: ice skating performances, races, and displays featuring kids showcasing their talent, mirroring what Elena once dreamed of achieving. Laughter filled the air, intermingled with fleeting moments of poignancy, echoes of the happy memories Elena brought to each family, radiating under the rink's bright lights. Hours passed, and Emily and Maria worked diligently in the background, collecting donations and interacting with attendees, forging connections and sharing stories. With each passing moment, they became even more aware of the ripple effects of their efforts. However, as the event was reaching its climax, a young girl approached Emily, a timid smile gracing her face. "Are you Emily, Eleanor's friend?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, that's me," Emily replied, kneeling to match her height. "What's your name?" "I'm Sarah." The girl's voice trembled slightly, but her spirit held a brightness that was impossible to ignore. "Elena was my hero. I want to be just like her one day. Can you help me?" Emily felt a wave of emotion wash over her. "Of course, Sarah. You can be anything you want to be, just like she did. All you need to do is keep practicing and believe in yourself." At that moment, Emily realized that the event hadn't just been a tribute to Elena. It was transforming the dreams of the children in attendance by showing them that they were worthy of pursuing their own passions too. As Sarah wandered off to her training group with a determined grin, Emily felt a compelling sense of purpose envelop her. That burst of hope reminded her of her own passions that had lain dormant all these years, the urge to pursue her dreams, to chase after what she truly desired. Turning to Maria, Emily shared a knowing look. "We did a lot today. Look at them. Look at the smiles." Maria beamed, her eyes sparkling. "And think how much joy Elena would have felt seeing this. She always believed in herself, and now we're helping others do the same." The event culminated in a touching tribute, a slideshow of Elena's life. Images flickered across the wall, Elena posing with her medals, skating with friends, and laughing with her family. the crowd was swept into a gentle wave of nostalgia, reflecting on the bittersweet but exultant memories. Then it happened. A familiar face emerged among the images. Emily's heart raced as she recognized him. Daniel, the boy whose life Emily had once struggled to save. It was a fleeting moment from several years ago, one she'd buried beneath layers of guilt. The guilt that had festered grew heavier than any burden she ever intended to carry. Suddenly, the room started to blur around her. The jubilant laughter faded, replaced by the thumping of her heart. She hadn't expected to see Daniel today. With every photo, every memory, came a reminder of what she wished could have been. Panic surged within her, but as she turned to leave, a gentle hand grasped her shoulder. "Hey, it's okay," Maria said softly, her voice warm and comforting. "Look at what you're doing. This is part of healing, embracing all of it, not just the good." Emily's breath caught in her throat. Maria was right. The past couldn't change, but she could honor it through the efforts they'd made today. Taking a deep breath, Emily returned her gaze to the screen. Daniel's joy would be honored, just as Elena's was. As she looked around at the happy faces, she understood that this was what truly mattered, bringing warmth, honesty, and understanding to those left behind. In that instant, she felt a powerful epiphany. It was okay to feel pain while also embracing hope, to face her past while inspiring the future. Today marked a turning point, a chance to honor the memories, not as burdens, but as fuel for the journey ahead. Turning back to Maria, the tears of struggle transformed into quiet resolve. "Thank you for being here," she said earnestly. Maria nudged her playfully. "Always. We're in this together. Remember." And as the night closed, hand in hand with Maria, Emily gazed at the tender faces of the children, all gliding effortlessly across the ice. She felt empowered, free of the shadows she had carried for so long. In celebrating Elena's spirit, they were paving the way for beautiful new beginnings, not just for themselves, but for every young dreamer who dared to take the ice. In the days that followed the fundraiser, the warmth of that night lingered in the small town. Word spread about the event, and the energy continued to ripple through Leveland. Children were practicing their skating routines with renewed enthusiasm, and the community felt a shared sense of purpose, a goodbye to the pain and an embrace of Elena's legacy. Emily found herself inspired to step into the role of a mentor. She began volunteering at the local rink, guiding young skaters during their practice. As she tied skate laces and offered tips, she delighted in watching their eyes light up when they landed their first jumps or perfected a spin. Each laugh and triumphant shout filled her with reminders of how important it was to nurture dreams, regardless of size. One afternoon, as Emily helped a timid girl named Lily learn to glide, she could see echoes of her younger self in the child. Lily was struggling but persistent. After several attempts at pushing off, she fell again, frustration spilling from her eyes. Emily knelt beside her. "Hey, don't sweat it," she encouraged, brushing some hair from Lily's forehead. "Every great skater falls. It's part of the journey. Want me to show you? Let's do it together." The girl nodded slowly, her expression still heavy with doubt, but Emily offered her hand. "Just trust yourself. You can do this." With that simple act, they took a few laps together. Emily kept her pace slow, reminding Lily to take deep breaths and relax her body. Around the ice they skated, laughing as they stumbled occasionally, but eventually, under Emily's gentle guidance, Lily found her rhythm. "See?" Emily said, her smile broadening as Lily began to glide across the ice with newfound confidence. "You're flying!" Lily's eyes lit up, and Emily caught a glimpse of what dreams looked like in motion. They were both breathless, carrying the weight of something newfound. In those shared moments, Emily realized she was healing. She could share her unresolved past with the next generation, allowing them a chance to dream without restraint. The connection to Elena grew stronger in Emily's heart each day as she shared stories about the girl who inspired the community to come together. A girl whose light still shone brightly through every twirl, laugh, and passionate dream reflected back to her on the ice. But with the healing came a journey deep into her own vulnerabilities. One evening, while packing her bag at the rink, Emily bumped into Daniel's brother, Michael. The anticipation of a long-avoided conversation hung heavily in the air as they looked at each other. "Hi, Emily," Michael said softly, his voice steady but guarded. The pain of loss had etched its lines deeply into his face, but there were glimpses of resilience. "I saw the fundraiser you and Maria put together. It was beautiful." "Thank you, Michael," Emily replied, her heart racing as she felt the bittersweet weight of guilt pressing upon her once again. "I only wish I could have done more back then." Michael shifted, hands in his pockets. "None of us could have done anything differently. It was a terrible tragedy, but what you did for Elena, that means a lot to all of us." The vulnerability in his voice mirrored the tumult that ebbed within her. Emily found courage in his words. "I've been thinking about Daniel a lot. I'm sorry for everything, how it turned out that night. I wish I could go back." Michael looked at her steadily, his expression grave yet understanding. "We're all scarred by it, but we can't let those memories stop us from moving forward. He'd want us to remember him, but not to be burdened by it." Hearing those words struck an undeniable chord within Emily. They echoed the lessons she had learned alongside Maria and through her work with the kids. "You're right," she stated, her tone growing stronger. "We owe it to them to honor their memories positively." Michael regarded her thoughtfully, and there, amidst their shared grief, a tentative bond began to form, a promise of understanding and acceptance. "Let's keep their memories alive. We should do something together, like a scholarship fund for kids on the ice, in their honor." "That's a fantastic idea," Emily replied, her heart swelling with purpose. They both loved skating. "We could work to ensure that every kid who wants to skate gets the chance, just like Elena did." And with that, an idea was born, a way to merge their experiences, to transform pain into something tangible, something filled with hope. They began meeting regularly, outlining plans for the scholarship fund, involving local businesses and tapping into the community that had rallied around Elena. As the months rolled by, Emily found herself weaving together the threads of her past and present. The more she contributed to the fund, the more she connected with others coping with grief, with the community willing to embrace the hurt and transform it into something brighter. Eventually, Emily and Michael organized a community ice rink day in memory of both Elena and Daniel, inviting families to share stories of their loved ones. The atmosphere brimmed with life as kids skated alongside parents and grandparents, laughter mixing with the sound of skating blades against the ice. In that vibrant ambience, Emily stood at the side, watching the joy unfold. A bittersweet feeling stirred within her, but this time it was filled with purpose. She saw not only the culmination of desires, but also the strength it took to cope with vulnerability. As night fell and families began to leave, Emily gathered with Maria, Michael, and other friends. "This is what it's all about," Emily said, her heart brimming with hope. "We've turned our grief into endless possibilities." Maria nodded, a proud smile on her face. "Every smile out there, every child gliding across the ice, this is all the validation we need. I think Elena and Daniel would be so proud." Emily exhaled slowly, releasing the weight she had carried for so long. "We are honoring them by helping others. It's a new beginning, not just for us, but for so many children and their families." As she looked out over the ice, shimmering under the soft glow of the rink lights, she felt achieved, filled with warmth and hope. This was a journey of not just healing wounds, but creating a legacy, one that would resound with laughter and dreams to come, inspiring new dreamers to chase the magic of the ice and the memories of the beloved they lost, keeping their spirits alive forever. As the last families trickled out of the rink, Emily felt a profound sense of fulfillment wash over her. The echoes of laughter and joy still resonated in her heart, a sweet reminder of the connections formed that day. Together with Maria and Michael, they began cleaning up, packing away leftover decorations and collecting stray cups and wrappers. "This feels like a turning point," Emily said, glancing back at the ice which glimmered under the fading lights. "We've created something truly special here." Michael folded a banner, a satisfied grin on his face. "It's more than just a day. We're building a foundation of hope and healing for everyone, especially for the kids." As they worked, she noticed other volunteers chatting and helping, enveloped in the warmth of community spirit. It was heartening to witness how their vision had grown, igniting inspiration and action among so many. Once the cleanup was complete, they strolled to a nearby diner, the familiar bell ringing as they entered. The place was cozy and dynamic, filled with local photographs and the mouth-watering scent of grilled burgers and sweet desserts. "This calls for a celebration," Michael declared, ordering a round of milkshakes. "To new beginnings." After their orders arrived, their laughter bubbled and spread through the air. Emily felt a surge of happiness, bolstered by their dreams for the future. "What if we host these events monthly?" she suggested, excitement threading her voice. "Ice skating nights, bake sales, keeping the momentum going." Maria's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant. We could feature local talent and have themed nights. There's so much we can do." Ideas flowed like endless currents as they brainstormed, their enthusiasm igniting with every proposal. Each gathering strengthened the community battery, fueling connections while celebrating memories of Elena and Daniel. Months passed, and their small gatherings grew into vibrant festivals. Children biked and skated around the rink, their laughter stitching joy into the fabric of the community. Every event inspired more participation, turning the ice into a canvas of dreams and shared love. One day, after a particularly engaging event, a mother approached Emily, gratitude shimmering in her eyes. "You've changed my son's life," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "He was so withdrawn, but ever since he started skating here, he's found a family. Thank you for everything." Tears welled in Emily's eyes as the mother spoke. "It means so much to hear that," she replied. "We're all healing together." The mother smiled, eyes shining. "You see, he looks at Elena's picture and says she inspires him to skate better. It's beautiful." In that moment, Emily grasped the magnitude of what they had created. They weren't merely honoring Elena and Daniel, they were nurturing a new generation of dreamers, providing a safe place for healing and growth. As autumn approached, another ice festival loomed. Emily immersed herself in preparations alongside Maria and Michael, each task a step forward in their shared mission. Festival day arrived, painted vivid under a brilliant blue sky. The rink overflowed with families enjoying games and warm refreshments. Children skated joyously, their energy electrifying the air as parents watched with pride. Emily beamed with pride, grateful for their community's spirit. This was more than an event. It was a testament to resilience, love, and healing. When night fell and families began heading home, she stood with Maria and Michael, soaking in the moment. "This is what it's all about," she said softly, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. "We've turned our grief into endless possibilities." Maria squeezed her shoulder. "Every smile out there, each child gliding on ice is a reflection of that. Elena and Daniel would be so proud." With a deep, contented breath, Emily realized they had forged a transformative experience from their pain. They created a legacy rich with laughter, inspiration, and hope, an enduring tribute to those they loved. As she watched the joyous families leaving, a comforting warmth enveloped her heart. They had taken what could have consumed them and crafted something beautiful, establishing a lineage of love and anticipation where dreams could flourish and thrive, keeping the spirits of Elena and Daniel alive forever in their hearts.